Hey guys, welcome back to Stewart's Nutrition's interviews with random people that we sponsor because we don't have a name yet. So that's when you guys come in. Okay, so we got some pretty good names so far. Kevin Van Sickle threw out some. My boy Dre from New York threw out some good ones. We come up with some ones of our own. By next week, we will definitely have one. So if you guys still want to jump in, throw some names our way, throw some ideas, make sure you DM us and we'll come up with the name sometime next week. And if we pick your name, remember that we got a $20 gift card with your name on it through here. So now with that being said, not so random person, I think everybody seems to know so far, but we've got Kendra Reeves here. So Kendra, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So just getting into it right on the surface, you've got something coming up next week, right?
Yeah, so we're leaving for National Golden Gloves August 7th. So we fly out August 7th.
Okay, and where's that at?
In Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now Tarantino in this, we're gonna rewind all the way back to the time where you decided to put on your boxing gloves, and now we've got Golden Gloves coming up next week, right? So how did the whole boxing thing start for you?
So it actually just started as a way to get in shape and to help me lose weight. When my husband and I got together, we were training together, and I kind of hit a plateau for a while. And he had mentioned that he still had all of his old boxing stuff in our garage. And he said, why don't we just set it up? And he's like, I really think that it'll help you, honestly. And so we did. We set it all up in the garage, and we did our first training together, and it was horrendous. It literally was the hardest thing I'd probably ever done. It was intense. It was crazy.
But what is horrendous? What happens during like a boxing training?
It's honestly, it's almost like learning how to walk all over again, but times 100, because you're going so fast and so hard, and you're trying to do everything right. But everything's just uncomfortable because we're used to standing a certain way, doing things a certain way, and then when you're boxing, your feet have to be a certain way. You don't realize how much goes into it. Right. You think it's just throwing, but it's really not. Like, it's more about your feet, your legs, even all the way down to your toe. Like, just getting everything perfect. So it's crazy how much you have to think, and then also how much endurance you need to do it correctly. So
yeah, no doubt. And that's the biggest part is people are standing a certain way, or their footwork's a certain way, or they're punching air and they're like, well, I can do this all day.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden 10 minutes into it, you're dying.
Yeah.
You're sweating more than you should. You're so uncomfortable. You're probably so sore the next day, I can imagine. And you're 27 now?
Yeah.
And you started this when you were how old?
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's really funny in 5 years what you've done. So give us kind of a timeline from the first time you put on some gloves to now, some of the accomplishments, some of the places that you've been, some things you've experienced since then.
So starting out, I think the biggest thing right out of the gate was 2018 Golden Gloves Nationals. I took first there, so I won the whole tournament. And
now, mind you, though, that was 3 years ago. So
yeah.
you'd only been boxing for 2 years before you
yeah.
won your Golden Gloves.
Yeah,
okay.
So
that's crazy.
That was the first big tournament that I had won, and then from there we went 2019. I took second at the Golden Gloves tournament, and then I won Eastern qualifiers that year too as well, which punched my ticket to go to the Olympic trials that same year.
Gotcha.
And then this last year, now that we've finally reopened, I took second at nationals there, and then now getting ready for Golden Gloves again. So.
This next week.
Yeah.
Cool. That's insane, and it's insane to think that you not only you've done this in 5 years, but you're beating the girls that have done this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And in a mindset like that, is there an intimidation factor knowing that a lot of these boxers have been doing it for so long, or is that just puts yourself in a place where you say, well, I've just got to work 3 times as hard? I mean, what's your mindset going into the ring and stuff, facing these people that have done it for so long?
So I believe that it does make me work harder. It makes me figure out things faster or smarter if there's a better way I can do it to get me further along in half the time, because they have been doing it since they were 8 years old. So they, above everything, I would say that they have more ring experience than I do, and that just brings confidence and comfortability in the ring. But I personally believe that no matter how old you are, anybody can do anything that they set their mind to. And it's also a little bit of an advantage too for me, because sometimes in sports, people, once they've done it for so long, they get comfortable or complacent, or like you start showing up to weigh-ins or to your big tournaments out of shape, and I've done it for so long, so I already know I'm going to win. And that's where the underdog steps in, and all of a sudden you're no longer winning anymore, because the girl that you didn't think was going to win is now
she's been working her
beating
ass
you.
off over there, and no, and that's exactly right. But now, when you say, you know, I truly believe you can do anything you set your mind to, has that always been you? Like, ever since you were a kid, have you had that mindset, or did boxing change that mindset for you?
Yeah, no, it definitely was not always me. Growing up, I've always struggled with my weight, and I always was the bigger girl in school. I don't know, I guess I hit puberty before everybody, but
Yeah.
but so I've always had issues with that, and it brought so much insecurities. And then kids are evil, so obviously I got made fun of growing up, and it was really hard for me to overcome that. But honestly, boxing changed the way I look at everything, the way I talk to people, the way I walk, the way that I think about everything. It changed so much, and I believe that it's from it being an individual sport. So you're not relying on somebody on the other side to catch the ball, or to all of your teammates being there to help pick up your slack if you have a crappy day when you guys are competing. It's all you. And when you go and train in the gym, it's all you. If you didn't train the way that you're supposed to, or do the things that you're supposed to do to get you where you need to go, then it's all on you. It's all your own responsibility.
Yeah, it's a reflection of your own work.
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and not only this, you know, there's nobody to pick up your slack, but then you also don't have to work twice as hard and see somebody else not working hard enough to be like, well, then why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know, because that's the struggle part with team sports. And so you're growing up and people are making fun of whether it's your weight or whatever what's going on. You were super introverted. So what makes you learn all of these fighting skills, right? So you're a hell of a boxer. You're doing all these things. Now, what makes you go, you know, that was just everybody growing up, and not, I'm gonna go find these people. Like, what, you know what I mean? You have this arsenal that people don't have, that Jason has taught you. I mean, do you ever have this vindictive, like, I'm gonna get you back mindset, or is it just all in the past?
You know, we actually went out the other day, and we've seen so many people from high school. I know it's crazy because we never go out, but we went out and we were dancing, and it was insane. I couldn't believe how many people I'd seen from when I was in high school. And I mean, I had like, oh, well, that's interesting, but it was not like any hatred or anything like that. It was just,
So did you talk to them? Did you talk to them?
No.
Okay, gotcha. That's, yeah. I'm sure that would be hard, and I think you hit a level in this sport that there's nothing left to prove. You probably don't have to go out there and, you know, resurface anything that was bad before then, because you don't have anything to prove in that sense. You know, hell, I think we just saw a newspaper posted an article about the Olympic contender, right? Right, Jason, Olympic contender that I read on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Jason thinks I didn't read it, so I read the title.
I read the title.
You know, so no, we don't. So when you're learning boxing at this point, and you said you were kind of heavier, now you're starting to cut for boxing, right? So you're at a certain weight, you got to cut down to this other weight. Do you feel like you've mastered the cutting side to it? Like, is that an art in itself? Is there a certain way that you do that? Is it temporary? You know, I mean, so if you're 160, you need to be 150 in 4 days, and you cut that 10 pounds. Is it just a way to manipulate the body to cut the 10 pounds, or is that something you're taking off and keeping? Like, how does that art of cutting work?
In the beginning, I honestly didn't know anything about cutting. I didn't even know it was a thing. I remember going to our first Golden Gloves tournament, and I was like, Jason, they're wearing the sauna suits. Why are they wearing those? Like, why is she jumping rope? We're competing tomorrow. Like, what are they doing? And he's like, yeah, everybody cuts weight. And so I just walked around at my fighting weight all the time. So I would just walk around at 152, and I maintained that for a really long time. And I got to a point to where I had pushed the levels like way too hard, and ended up having issues with my hormones for a while. And then it turned into, I figured out how to cut, and then it was more like cutting to make weight. And I think that the best place you can be is to not have to cut to make weight, and to be as close as you can to your fighting weight all the time is going to give you the best results in the ring. So
why do people, I mean, because there are people that they'll cut 20 pounds in, you know, 10, 20 days, you know, so why do they do that? I mean, is that frankly, is that a laziness thing, or is that, hey, I'm going to try to be heavy and build as much muscle I can before I cut this down? Is it a surprise in weight class difference where they're saying, hey, you were fighting this weight class, now you got to fight this one? What happens where people are cutting these crazy amounts of weight? And 20 pounds isn't the top. I mean, I know that there's, I had a friend who cut like 45 pounds in 6 weeks for that, you know, so how do people get there?
So I would say a little bit of everything that you just said. Like, maybe they think that they're getting the upper edge, being the bigger opponent, or maybe like it's like a last minute thing and they decided to go at a different weight. But we all choose our own weights that we want to compete at. So it wouldn't be like a last minute thing that they had to compete at that weight. So it's just a bunch of different things. I think that the biggest one is trying to be the bigger opponent and thinking that they would get the upper edge from that.
So let's talk about family boxing and fitness. Okay, so you have this full gym, right? I mean, explain the gym to us here that you've got in Twin.
So we do boxing, jiu-jitsu, and we are 24-hour access. So we have like a full weighted equipment. We have a cardio room and an infrared sauna too as well. So we do a bunch of stuff. So
how long have you had that?
We just expanded into this new building. So we were able to add in the weights and the 24-hour access and the jiu-jitsu. So that's been since December of this last year. So
awesome. Okay. And before that, I know that's kind of when you and I met. You had a shop. Basically, it was a big shop bay, right? It was a bay. So before you got into the bay, you got with Jason. He showed you some stuff. You guys were in the garage. You were just at your house.
Yeah.
And as you started training, what brought you guys from there to this big building that you have downtown that you're doing also traditional strength training, boxing, personal training, jiu-jitsu? Kind of give us a timeline of what happened there.
So in the garage, Jason and I just started working out together, and people kept calling. So he's had the same number for probably 20 years, I don't know. But people kept calling from when he used to do boxing at the Boys and Girls Club. And at first he would just tell people, oh no, I just train my wife, and we're just training for fun, and I don't train anymore. And then they were like, well, what if we come and work out in your garage with you? And so we talked about it, and at first I was like, that's so weird, like it's our house, and and then finally we just said, well, if they're going to pay us, why not? And we
Yeah.
were working out anyway, so let's
Give
train
us
them.
money while we're doing it. Yeah.
And so people started to come, and eventually we had to separate the two because we got so many kids and so many adults that we had to do two. So we did a kids class and an adult class.
All from your house.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it was insane. There would be like 20 kids in our driveway jumping rope, and the neighbors thought we were like crazy.
Yeah.
Every day we would go out there and open the garage, and they're like, what the heck? But yeah, it was so much fun to watch it grow. And then we had some really good friends that helped us get into our very first building that we got, which was probably like 700 square foot. And when we did our grand opening, both Jason and I were still working, and I was telling him, Jason, we have to have 30 people sign up today for us not to come out of pocket for this building. And that first day, our grand opening, we had 32 people sign up. And
Yeah,
so it was just perfect. And
Like
then,
it was meant to be,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And then from there, we just kept growing and growing, and now here we are.
Here. Now, do you guys anticipate this building that you have now, is this your resting place, or do you plan on expanding some more? Is that kind of being kept a secret, or, I mean, you just kind of see how it goes from there?
No, we do want to expand more. So we have got a ton of people in there now, and we definitely want to keep growing as much as we can. So we're still looking for a permanent spot we want to buy and be able to grow as much as we can. So
awesome. Now, do you have to have experience coming in here? Does everybody who sign up, are they competing? Is there an age limit? Is there a gender side? Is there what's the limitations for somebody who wants to come in, say hi, check it out, sign up?
So there's no age limit. We usually start at about 5 though, because anything younger than that, their attention span is just a little too small, and it gets a little too hard. But anybody can come in. So anybody can do it, and we've had tons of people from age 5 all the way to age like 75 do boxing. And so anybody can come in. We train everybody the same. So not everybody has to compete, and not everybody has to spar and do any of those things. Okay. But we still train everybody the same, because a lot of times people will come in without the anticipation of competition. And then once they get going, then usually they want to
see how they stack up.
Oh, well, maybe I could do that. And so.
Okay, but so if somebody just wanted to get in shape, though, that's an option they can do.
Yeah.
Now, do they have to, when they sign up, do they have to do boxing? Do they have to do jiu-jitsu? Can they just do the weight side?
Yeah, so it's actually cheaper to do it that way. So with our 24-hour access, if you're not interested in boxing classes or jiu-jitsu classes, you could just utilize our facility with the 24-hour access, do the weights, the cardio room,
awesome.
the infrared sauna, and you could even do a boxing workout if you want, or even use the mats for your jiu-jitsu too as well. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there is kind of a tiered system on how aggressive you want to be in there as well. So cool. So make sure you guys go talk to Jason or Kendra. And get signed up. Go check it out. They're open. When are you guys typically there? Because you have to have a key fob, right? Since it's a 24-hour, some sort of access code.
Yeah. So we're there Monday through Friday from about 5 till 8:30 at night. So.
Okay. And what's your social media handles?
So we do everything through Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So,
which is it just family boxing?
Yeah, family boxing.
Family boxing.
Yeah,
okay.
And then. From there, they could just hit the call button on there, and it'll call us directly. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So now you've got this week coming up. You're 160. You're cutting your 152. Now I know that you spent some time below 160. I know you spent some time above 160, and there were even times where diet-wise you were beating your head against a wall sometimes. So when you dive into the diet and supplementation side to it, what was confusing to you versus what has clicked versus what are you still struggling with?
I fell into like what is popular fad diets, like get it super quick and as little results or like as little effort as possible.
Yeah.
And for so long, and I remember coming in and talking to you so many times, like, Jade, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And every time you told me what to do, like, no, I can't do that. And that's not going to work.
Now, mind you, she's specifically talking about carbohydrates at this point, for the most part. She will do anything, but I said eat carbs, and she's like, no. Yeah, it was kind of funny how it worked. So yes, but you were kind of fighting the system of just how food works.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I ended up, I know I touched on, I had issues with my hormones. It wasn't like little issues. My hair started falling out. I couldn't sleep through the night. I remember coming in here like, Jade, give me a tranquilizer because I can't sleep at all. And once I had finally started listening, it like changed my whole entire life, because I ended up coming to the point where I almost, I guess I shouldn't say almost, but I started to overeat, and my body was just fighting me, and no matter what I ate, I would not feel full. I was just not satisfied with how much I had ate. I could eat way more than Jason. I would eat him under the table for a long time, and I would never feel full. And I could not figure out what in the heck was going on. And so once I had started eating carbohydrates and started listening to your advice, it was phenomenal. I had the best trainings I've ever had in forever. And the weight just started falling off like crazy. And that's actually why.
So you don't feel like you're overeating at this point then?
No. And it's insane because I've actually gotten to the point where I'll throw away food. Like I will make my breakfast, and once I'm done, like there's a point that I get full, and I'll even make such a big deal about it because it's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm full, Jason. I'm going to throw my food away.
Not too funny, But it is those things where you get excited about, because I think that was a lot of your struggle with your sleeping as well too, right? I mean, you were waking up hungry. That's a lot of what your sleeping habits were going on. And so, you dialed in your food a little bit better. You started losing the weight, and then you started sleeping better, right? So then all of these things started happening, and you kind of got this glow back about you. And it's so funny how, because you're so committed to your food too, like to whatever diet you were doing, you didn't do it 50% or 80%. You were 100% committed to a diet that if you were shown or you thought would work, you gave it your all, which is really good in the sense of, hey, if you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah.
But it is really, really hard to starve your body of what it needs and then keep giving it more of what it's not, because then you're going to keep giving it more, but never, and you're just going to keep chasing something that's not fulfilling, is what it seemed like. So on a supplement side, Jason came in 3 years ago and was telling me about this boxer that he had. Never mentioned that it was his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever it was at this point, right? He had this great up-and-coming boxer, female boxer that had a really good story. And he was with some small supplement company at that time, and he said, hey, do you want to sponsor a local athlete? And I said, yeah, I'd be interested. And then in come Kendra. And you had some basic things at that point. It was... at that time, it was a pre-workout, some ZMA, some just standard vitamins for the most part. Was it amino acids? I don't think it was.
No.
Okay. So what are you currently taking that from transitioning that? I think that's what all it was, right? So what is it? What's kind of the supplement regimen, if you're willing to share it? I know.
Oh no. Yeah.
I know everybody watches this. Golden Glove people and not. So, but what are you?
So I currently take branched chain amino acids. I take it like twice a day. I'm training twice a day, so I just take it with me while I'm training.
And what are you taking that for?
I've taken it for...
No, what are you taking it for? What's the purpose of you taking it?
It helps with recovery, and it also helps if you ever reach that point during your training where you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm a little drained. And it gives you a little bit more of a boost while you're training. So,
okay.
So I take it during both my trainings, and I love it. Everybody that comes in and starts with us, I always recommend it because it's one of my favorites. I also do ZMA to help me sleep at night, and then I do a hormone supplement. Is it
balancer?
Like balancer? Yes,
that's what it's called.
So just to balance out my hormones have been flawless, and now that I'm eating good, but it just helps keep everything regular, and I recommend that to everybody too. I love it. It works phenomenal. So I do that, and then we do the Vaso. So that's just to help get a little bit of a pump in your muscles, help the blood flow while you're training and things like that.
We actually brought Jason in here, so now we get to put your pretty mug on camera. So this is Jason Samargis. This is Kendra's husband. This is how the whole thing started. You two were working at, where were you guys working at that point? Was it Lamb Weston? Yeah. Working at Lamb Weston, you guys met up, kind of started talking, and then that's where you were on your weight loss journey, and you're like, well, I got some punching stuff in the Boys and Girls Club, and then 5 years later, here we are, right? So that was kind of the story that was told. So now we can put a face with everything that was going on. So Jason, you came in, and that's when you were talking about getting a sponsorship or some sort of partnership with Kendra as the boxer, and it was the basic supplements there. And so since then, you've stuck with the ZMA. A lot of your stuff comes from food at this point, protein-wise, but every once in a while there's a protein side. You've went kind of from pre-workout to just the Vaso. Now, the difference between a pre-workout and the Vaso they're speaking of, this is just a vasodilator. This is just the pump and endurance side of a pre-workout without the added stimulant. So she's doing it for the delayed fatigue and the endurance rather than like this crazy amount of stimulant that you're being hit, and you seem to enjoy that better. Right.
And I took pre-workout when I was working too as well. So when I needed it, I did take pre-workout. And right now I'm not working. I'm just training and doing the boxing part of it. So I don't really need it. So that's why I've switched over to that.
Okay, perfect. And so, and then you added the BCAAs. That's about it, right? And then you got your total balance.
The balance, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not elaborate, right? It's not something that, you're not taking 20 different supplements and have to be on them for everything to work, right? So the first thing you do is you try to get out of your food, and what you're not getting there that you're literally supplementing, right? By definition. Now, all of this stuff, is it something that you would recommend to anybody who's doing the boxing, or is that something that people can pick and choose or add or subtract from other supplements?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I honestly, I'd recommend it to pretty much anybody. And I think it's just based off of preference, like what you're looking for, based off of if you need the extra boost to get through your training, if you're working too as well, then maybe a pre-workout would be better than the amino acids. It's just really based off of preference and what you're lacking in diet. So
and you don't know till you know, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's why you've tried your pre-workouts and stuff. You're like, you know what? I'd rather go this way. And you guys do personal training still? Okay, so there's something you guys can sign up and you guys do, their supplement recommendation, their food, don't you write their meal plans and stuff, and then you also train them one-on-one as well, right? So that's always an option as well. You can get a hold of them and they'll just take you and hold your hand through a lot of things that's not just boxing, but just to get in shape and lose weight, gain weight, feel better.
Right? whatever your goals are.
Okay. So Jason, you grew up in California? So you grew up in California. Were you boxing there? When did all of the boxing
I
stuff
was.
start?
My grandfather had me boxing all over the place. Started about 7 years old.
Oh wow.
Got to the point where as a kid I absolutely hated it. hated boxing because I would go spar at other gyms and everywhere around. We'd actually come up here to Idaho and spar up here, and I'd get my ass kicked because I was always sparring guys that were much bigger. My grandpa would say, "Oh, my boy can do it. My boy can do it." And I had a lot of experience. I had a lot of ring time. Not a lot of amateur fights.
Yeah, but as your grandpa, you say your grandpa?
Yeah.
Your grandpa is saying, well, my boy can do it. Yeah, it puts this level of like, you have to step up and do this now because he's kind of calling you out at that point.
Well, he was
even if you didn't
actual, he was a boxer himself, and prior to World War II, and then he boxed in the Navy also. He had like 116 amateur fights. I think he had 16 pro fights, and you can actually look him up, and he's still,
Samargis? This whole time is Samargis?
Yeah. You
oh, man, I've been calling him Samargis for 5 years. Now you say it on camera? Oh. So, okay.
I love you, so I don't correct you.
Kidding. Holy mackerel. So then you grew up boxing as a kid. When did you transition? Did you ever coach, or was Kendra kind of the first time?
I coached. I actually took martial arts for about 7.5 years also.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of incorporate that in. I took Kung Fu Sansu, which is it's a strict fighting. There's no competition for it. They actually teach it to the special forces guys, the Green Berets and stuff like that. It's pretty, straight to the point. Be done with it and over with, and that's what.
Oh, just end it. You
end it.
Apply it to end it,
and that's what I try to put into my boxing. The shorter time you're in the ring, the better off you are. If you can end that fight, within.
So Kendra's gonna haul off and just leg kick to the head.
No. But she does have the most stoppages in the U.S. as far as the elite females go.
Wow.
Wow. And which is pretty.
Now, is that technique or is that power? I mean, because she has a heavy fist.
It's an overwhelming of both. She throws
volume.
I used to counter punches all the time, and when she actually won Golden Gloves, she was averaging 600 punches in 9 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
That's if you do the math on that, that's crazy. But now she's hitting she's actually come into her power, using her legs more. That's all we work on. If your legs get tired, then you're tired, and you're going to get beat up. You can't move in the ring.
Yeah.
We teach angles. Boxing's not like these smokers they do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You train for 2 weeks and you're a boxer. No, you're not.
Right.
Boxing's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? And you can do it your whole life. Like I said, I've done it since I was 7 years old. I started coaching at the Boys and Girls Club, I think 2001. Got with Don Hall, and he actually gave me a chance. Started working with juvenile probation. Kevin Sandow over here, he's still the head of juvenile probation. We did a lot of things with those guys, and I coached there for probably 9 years, maybe, and then I opened up my own place.
Okay.
Coached till about 2012. I actually took a guy to the national championships, and as a coach, sometimes you want it more than your fighter.
Well, kind of like your grandpa.
Yeah.
Right? At that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And you put everything into it, and then you realize, well, I wanted it more than this guy because he didn't even give a shit about it. And then at that point, I was done with boxing. I was absolutely done.
That's kind of so mentally. You just
I was done. And then when we got together, I was still doing my boxing workouts and lifting and stuff because I've done that my whole life also. And she wanted to lose weight, and like she said, I said, well, the boxing's the best workout you'll ever do in your life, ever. Hands down. It's people do CrossFit, this, that. There's no workout like a boxing workout as far as your whole body's screaming. Are we done yet? And then that's when you have to push harder. No, we're not done yet.
well, kind of funny background story is when you were training in 2000, I actually went there for, it wasn't but a couple months, right? Just like, because it was hard. I mean, it was, because in the beginning, it's just about footwork, right? And you're throwing this jab over and over again. Your left shoulder wants to fall off and your legs are burning and you're not doing anything. You're literally, I think I'm going to go jump rope for 2 minutes and go get in a ring and roundhouse somebody.
It's so repetitive that a lot of people can't focus.
Right.
It's like this again. this again.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it is. That's all it is, and it even gets to a point to where, some people, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about. He'll put me in a corner and make me work on footwork for 3 weeks. Yeah, well, yeah, and that's because he cares, right? I mean, but people think that it's just so repetitive, and you have to get this down, and the fibers the muscles have to be engaged at the right moments, and to do that over and over again, it takes a toll on you mentally just as much as it does physically.
Oh yeah.
And so, when you started training Kendra and then you guys decided you want to start being competitive with this, obviously Kendra at 22 years old, you weren't thinking, I'm going to take this girl that I just started dating and I'm going to make her an Olympic athlete. Right, that was never the mindset in the beginning. Well, I would think not. Maybe you had some crazy plans and you're like scoping people out. But
I picked her out of the crowd.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, most potential. So, I mean, do you ever feel like maybe, I know Kendra has this hunger, and I'm sure you have a lot of your grandpa's thoughts in your head, and even with, I believe, who you're talking about when you took him to nationals there, but do you ever take a step back and think, do I want this more than her, or do you guys ever have those conversations?
We have, and I want it with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If she wanted to quit tomorrow, then quit tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I won't be mad about it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because boxing's hard. It's the hardest. That's her job.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, oh, she's an amateur athlete. Well, amateur boxing is kind of like, at the elite level, kind of like you're going to college, okay, and then you go to that university, you know what I mean? And then you go and get your PhD or, your doctorate,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's what she's doing right now. She's working. And people think, oh, so you don't do anything, you just stay home, you run the gym, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, come work a day with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll see her drive, her ambition. You know what I mean? She's beating those girls, and she can beat those girls, and she has beat them. You know what I mean? To where they're scared to fight her.
Yeah.
We were trying to pay girls to come up and spar all this last year. We had room in our house. We were offering them this, offering them that. They're all too busy. But then when we see them at nationals, they got their ass kicked, and they were hurt. Poor me. No, not poor you or the refs.
Right, but these are also the same girls that have been boxing since they were little girls, right? I mean, and that's, to be able to find the drive. I mean, it's been 5 years, but can you find that drive for 10 years? Can you find it for, hopefully, because that's crazy. And I mentioned this before off camera, but at 30, I mean, I was probably 29, 30, but at 32, I really picked up golf, right? And I really enjoyed it. And but golf is very time consuming, right? If you want to go golf 18 holes, right, you're 4.5 hours somewhere. And then, it costs some money, and it's, it's just like everything else, you have to put all this time and work. And I started to actually do that. Well, then I thought, well, what am I doing? I would just be good at a hobby. And my wife was super patient. I got this net in the garage, and I'm out there in the garage hitting 3-4 hours a night. And then Phil Mickelson, about a month ago, won a major event, PGA event, golfing event, and at 51, 52 years old. And I was like, hey, that gives me 20 years. I'm like, okay, well, I know the kids but most of these people have been golfing since they were 4 years old. I can't compete with these people that have been golfing since they were kids. And then I interviewed Kendra last week on a small interview site, and I said, when did you start? Well, I didn't start till I was 22. And I'm like, and in 5 years, you're on an Olympic team, multiple time Golden Glove winner. I can do this. I can do that. And so my poor wife has to put up with me thinking that I'm going to go join the tour in 3 years. But I figured,
Shorts?
What's that?
You got some ugly shorts?
I do have some very ugly pink plaid shorts. Yes,
God.
But I do want to qualify to the pants at some point. But it's oddly motivating, just regardless of the age. You can start as a kid and find a passion, and that's great. But you also don't have to be a kid to feel like that you can be an elite athlete in something that you want to do. You know, sometimes, you know, no, if you're 5'7" and 120 pounds, you're probably not going to be a big in the NBA. It's probably not going to happen regardless of age. Like, sometimes there's those inabilities, but it doesn't mean you don't have to go put in your all at any given age, and that you're just a prime example of that, and that's really cool. But you are going to find some people that have burned out. I mean, whether that was you as a kid, Jason, or you as a coach with him. I mean, you mentally, sometimes you're done. It's no longer fun. It's become work. And so to be able to find the balance of passion and grind versus, because now you have literally turned this into your job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you quit your job you were at Chobani?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you quit your job at Chobani last year and to pursue this full time. And so now to find the balance of this is my job versus this is my passion, do you intertwine those, or do you try to keep those separate?
I do try to keep it separate as much as I can. I feel that Jason helps a lot with that. So at night when we are training and teaching classes and things like that, I am helping, but we have mostly Jason and other coaches that are training us. So I'm still training too as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's still, it's not like I'm training everybody. And I think that if I were, then that's where it would interfere.
Yeah.
Because I would feel like I'm missing out. And
but you've been there for a minute. Weren't you ever? Were you ever there? I mean, coaching versus being in the sport. Did you ever feel like you were too involved in the business side that took away from your personal training, or have you balanced that really well this whole time so far?
I don't think that I've ever felt that I was too involved with the business side. I mean, sometimes some nights it's going to be busier and I'm going to have to help. But for the most part, now that we have the coaches that we got it on, has helped a lot.
And so again, if you guys want to find them, they're located at 510 2nd Avenue South, downtown. Their handles are Family Boxing and Fitness, I believe, or just Family Boxing.
Family Boxing, and then you can pull it Family Boxing.
Okay.
And Fitness.
That's on Instagram and Facebook. You can reach out to me or give them a call. Thanks.